Welcome back to Story is for You. Today, we're diving into the fascinating world of history to debunk some of the most common historical myths and uncover the real facts behind them. Get ready to challenge your preconceived notions, because the truth, as they say, is often stranger than fiction. From ancient rulers to iconic landmarks, we're about to embark on a journey that separates historical myths from the genuine events that shaped our past. Fasten your intellectual seatbelts, because it's time to separate fact from fiction and journey through the corridors of time to uncover the real stories behind the legends. Myth number 1. Napoleon Bonaparte was very short. Picture, if you will, the iconic image of Napoleon Bonaparte, hand tucked in his waistcoat, a bicorn hat perched upon his head, and a stature that history remembers as diminutive. But what if I told you that this enduring image of a vertically challenged emperor is a misconception? The confusion surrounding Napoleon's height stems from a difference in measurement systems. At the time, the French used a unit of measurement called the French foot, which was slightly larger than the British imperial foot. Records indicate Napoleon's height as 5 feet 2 inches, French feet that is. When converted to the modern equivalent, Napoleon's height was actually closer to 5 feet 7 inches, which placed him within the average height range for men of his era. This revelation might seem trivial, but it underscores a crucial point. History is often a game of whispers, where facts can be misconstrued and mythologized. He wasn't a giant among men in a physical sense, but his impact on Europe, on warfare, on the very fabric of history, was undeniably colossal. So, the next time you encounter the tale of the short-statured emperor, remember that history, like perspective, is all a matter of measurement. Myth number 2. Vikings wore horned helmets. Close your eyes and envision a Viking warrior, a fearsome figure clad in furs, wielding a mighty axe, and of course, sporting that iconic horned helmet. But what if I told you that this quintessential image of a Viking warrior is about as historically accurate as a unicorn riding a skateboard? The truth is, there's not a single shred of archaeological evidence to support the existence of horned helmets in Viking Age Scandinavia. Excavations of Viking burial sites and settlements have yielded countless artifacts, helmets included, but none bearing the telltale signs of horns. So, how did this myth take root? It seems our fascination with horned helmets can be traced back to the 19th century, a time when Romanticism and Norse mythology were all the rage. Artists and playwrights began adorning their depictions of these warriors with horned helmets. This artistic embellishment reached its zenith with Richard Wagner's operas, particularly Der Ring des Nibelungen, where the horned helmet became a staple of Viking costumes. In reality, Viking helmets were far more practical and less flamboyant. Archaeological evidence suggests that they were typically conical in shape, made of leather or metal, and designed to protect the wearer's head from blows during battle. The myth of the horned Viking helmet, while undeniably cool, is a powerful reminder that history can become distorted over time. It highlights the importance of approaching historical narratives with a critical eye, separating fact from fiction. Myth number 3. The Great Wall of China is visible from space. This one seems to have a life of its own, doesn't it? The idea that this monumental feat of engineering could be glimpsed from hundreds of miles above. But let's take our spacecraft and journey to a vantage point far above our planet. As we ascend, Earth shrinks below us, continents transforming into abstract shapes on a blue canvas. And yet, as we search for the Great Wall, a curious thing happens. We struggle to find it. Despite being one of the largest man-made structures on Earth, the Great Wall, from orbit, is remarkably elusive. It's not that it disappears entirely, but rather it blends in, its faded stones mimicking the natural contours of the land. Visibility from space is not solely determined by size, but also by a structure's contrast with its surroundings. The Great Wall simply doesn't possess the necessary contrast to stand out against the Earth's varied terrain, especially from the distances at which astronauts typically orbit. This myth underscores the power of our own preconceptions. We're so accustomed to thinking of the Great Wall as this immense, world-defining structure that the idea of it not being visible from space seems counterintuitive. The next time you hear someone claim they can see the Great Wall from space, you can gently correct them, armed with the knowledge that even the most impressive feats of human engineering can be humbled by the vastness of our cosmos. Myth number 4. Christopher Columbus discovered America. Christopher Columbus, the intrepid explorer, the man who sailed west and stumbled upon a new world, right? Well, not quite. This narrative, while deeply ingrained in our historical understanding, is a gross oversimplification. To say Columbus discovered America is akin to saying you discovered a bustling metropolis because you happened to wander into it one afternoon. The Americas, long before Columbus set sail, were already teeming with life, with diverse cultures, languages, and civilizations that had thrived for centuries. From the Inuit in the Arctic to the Inca in the Andes, indigenous peoples had established vibrant societies, developed complex agricultural practices, and forged deep connections with their environment. To claim that any one person could discover a land already inhabited by millions is not only inaccurate, but also deeply disrespectful to the rich tapestry of indigenous history. Now, let's talk Leif Erikson, a Norse explorer who, centuries before Columbus, led an expedition that reached the shores of North America. Eriksson's voyages, documented in Norse sagas, established a short-lived settlement in present-day Newfoundland, Canada, long before Columbus's ships ever touched Caribbean shores. Columbus's voyages had a profound and lasting impact on the world, ushering in an era of European exploration, colonization, and sadly, exploitation. However, it's equally important to remember that his arrival was not the beginning of history for the Americas or its people. Myth number 5. Marie Antoinette said, "Let them eat cake." This phrase has echoed down through the ages, a symbol of the French Queen's supposed aloofness, her disconnect from the plight of the common people. It's a line so deliciously scandalous, so perfectly encapsulating the French Revolution's rage against the monarchy, that it's almost too good to be true. And as it turns out, it probably isn't. Despite its enduring popularity, there's no concrete evidence that Marie Antoinette ever uttered these infamous words. The phrase first appears in writing not in any contemporary account of Marie Antoinette's life, but in the works of Jean-Jacques Rousseau, a philosopher and writer who was highly critical of the French monarchy. Rousseau, in his autobiographical work, Confessions, recounts a story from his youth about a great princess who, upon being told that the peasants had no bread, supposedly retorted with, "Let them eat brioche." Rousseau wrote Confessions several years before Marie Antoinette even arrived in France, so it's highly unlikely that the great princess he refers to was actually her. The French Revolution was a tumultuous time, and Marie Antoinette, as the queen, became a lightning rod for the people's anger and resentment. In the chaotic aftermath of the revolution, it's not surprising that rumors and gossip about Marie Antoinette flourished, and the "let them eat cake" quote, whether true or not, became inextricably linked with her image. The real Marie Antoinette, like most historical figures, was a complex individual, a product of her time and circumstances. The "let them eat cake" quote, while likely apocryphal, serves as a reminder to approach historical figures with nuance, and to remember that the past, like the present, is rarely black and white. And there you have it. 5 common historical myths debunked. History is full of fascinating stories, but it's important to separate fact from fiction. Remember, our understanding of the past is constantly evolving as new evidence comes to light and old assumptions are challenged. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for more historical truths and interesting facts. Thanks for watching, and see you next time. Keep exploring, keep questioning, and never stop searching for the truth, no matter how elusive it may seem.